Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today I'll be reacting to Leeds losing 2-1 at Elland Road to Everton. So let's get straight into it as we always do. I think I knew that we were going to lose this game from the moment I saw the team sheet and I saw that James Rodriguez had been dropped to the bench. Now the reason for that is, in the reverse fixture where we won 1-0 due to that Rafinha goal, Calvin Phillips had the run of Goodison, and that was because James Rodriguez does not track runners. And hence Ancelotti obviously has picked up on this and he just wasn't even involved today. He didn't even come on as a substitution, even though he's that much of a talented player. He knew that, Ancelotti that is, that James's work rate wasn't enough to keep hold of Calvin in the way that he plays. So he played his more industrious midfielders like your Decores, and if he was available he would have played your Elland. But he plays his Sigurdsson and Gomez, who are more sort of tough tackling. Sigurdsson not so much, but the other two, a bit more tackling, driving forward with a bit of power midfielders. Rafinha and Bamford were available for us, which was a bit of a worry in the week because Bamford picked up a leg injury, a bit of a dead leg at the end of the Leicester game, and Rafinha pulled up with a bit of a hamstring strain at the end of the Leicester game as well. So the first 10 minutes, like nearly every game that Leeds play, Leeds dominated the ball and created a few chances. Nothing majorly clear cut, but after 10 minutes we were punished because Ayling was a bit out of position. Rafinha had to fill in for him, and obviously he's not a great defender. He did his best to get back, but then in the end Digne is on the left wing about to put a ball in. Rafinha sticks a bit of a half-hearted leg out after making a strong run back to defend. So if you are going to run back to defend like that, you need to make sure that you actually make it worthwhile by putting a proper strong foot in. So the ball gets past him by Digne, whipped in, low cross, very good ball into the box, and Sigurdsson finishes it off. There was a lot to be said about the positioning of the Leeds defenders, but I just don't think they got set in time. Strike could have been a little bit further towards the touchline to cut out the ball entirely, and I think Cooper could have tracked Sigurdsson a little bit better of his run into the box. But it was a very good ball and it was a good goal, but I think it was defendable. About 10 minutes after that, there was the corner that was whipped in. It went outside the box instead of into the box, and Alioski, first time, absolutely whacked it on the volley, and it was swerving and it hit the post and came out. And I think if that had gone in, that would have been absolutely unbelievable. The amount of times Alioski shapes to shoot and in your head you're going, no, no, do not shoot, because he just skies them most of the time. But there was the one against Newcastle that he absolutely whacked in. I think it was against Newcastle. That was that one that he whacked across the goalkeeper and it went in. It was sort of a first time finish. Then there was this one that he's actually kept down and he's got his head over it and he's whacked it and it's hit the post. It's so unlucky. Commentators were saying the keeper had it covered. I don't think he did. I think he was too low for it, and I think it would have gone over his hand should it have been on target. Leeds had a good reaction to that goal, starting with that Alioski chance and culminating almost in the Calvin Phillips free kick that was whipped in, that Strike did a backwards glancing header that came off an Everton defender's head after that and took a slight deflection, and it went on to be tipped over by Olsen. That was a very good opportunity, and I think if it had been either side of the goalkeeper it was in, but because it was straight down the middle he was able to get a hand and tip it over the bar, which is really what he wants, is the best outcome for him in that situation. Leeds also had quite a few corners in the first half. I'm pretty sure there was 5+. I don't know whether that says something about how well Everton defended, the fact that we couldn't get balls in the box, and the fact that they were cutting off the supply lines and blocking crosses before they even came into the box, which obviously is credit to them. Their defence was excellent today, especially hanging on to that lead, which we'll talk about later on. The pitch was very slippy as well. There was players slipping all through the game. It wasn't just in that first half, but throughout the game there were balls knocked past players and they would try and set off and sprint and they would slip over, and I don't know whether that's something that's going to change over a little bit of time with this pitch once it beds in a little bit better, but that for the moment it was a bit of a concern because both teams were just slipping and sliding all over the place. About 3/4 of the way into the first half I noticed that a lot of Everton's attacks were coming from our sloppy mistakes, and it wasn't like ambitious passes to put in the striker behind the defenders. It was more like 5-10 yard passes that were just a little bit lacking in pace, accuracy, and they were just nicking it off our toes and bringing counter attacks. And it happened multiple times, and I think we were lucky not to concede more than we did in that first half. And then on the 42nd minute, as predictably as ever, we concede a corner. Ball's whipped in, I think it's Godfrey at the front post, gets a header on it, flicks it to the back post, and Calvert-Lewin's there ready to head it into the back post. I know Bielsa likes to go man for man, and he likes to put a player on the front post, but I don't think we had anyone on the back post, and I think it was similar to a goal that United scored against us that was flicked to the back post, the one that Lindelof scored. So I don't know if there's something to be said for putting a man on the back post, because potentially that could have been 2 less goals that we've conceded this season, and we would have drawn this game and got something out of it. So at half time we went in 2-0 down, and I was thinking that it wasn't one of the greatest performances that we've had this season. It was very similar to a lot of other games that we've played, for example against United and Spurs, where we were giving the ball away in midfield too easily and the counter-attacks were coming right back at us. Spurs and Man United were much more clinical with that. Everton didn't really manage to take advantage of it too much. 3 minutes into the second half and it's 2-1. Rafinha again rolls it into the bottom corner. Not a similar situation, but a similar strike to the one that he did against Newcastle last midweek. It was Bamford who laid him off with a little ball where he had his back to the defenders and they were all trying to get around him, but Bamford just laid him off with a little roll out to him, and Rafinha just slots it in the bottom corner. It was almost passed into the net. It was a great finish. Leeds had totally dominated the first 10 minutes, and again it culminated in Everton heroics. This time from Robin Olsen, the backup keeper who came in for Pickford for this game, where he made a triple save that wasn't like easy saves either. The first one was a click volley from the edge of the box. He didn't catch it right, but sometimes that can throw the keeper off. He had to dive down and get a hand to that and flick it back up. It was back into the danger area. His own player almost hit it into his own net and he had to save that again. And then there was a third save as well when it came back out to a Leeds player. And within the same minute, Leeds had another strike on goal and he saved it again, and I think that was one of the differences today. I think we could have scored there had Pickford been in there. Tyler Roberts then came on and replaced Click, and I think Click did have a good game today. I think he was one of the Leeds players that was looking to turn and drive forward and never really looking sideways or backwards. He was quite industrious, he was winning the ball and he was trying to find his teammates in attacking areas, so I think Click had a good game, but he was replaced by Roberts, who came on, and I wouldn't say he was ineffectual. He got on the ball a little bit and he did find teammates, but he wasn't anything like we have seen him before or what we know he's capable of. His dribbling's good, but he didn't really make use of it. Everton had a lot of defenders back by this point because they're 2-1 up and they're trying to hold on to the lead, so I think Roberts was okay, but I don't know if he definitely didn't have the desired impact that Bielsa thought he was going to have when he brought him on. 4 minutes after Roberts comes on, there's the Bamford chance that Harrison whips in from the edge of the box. Bamford jumps, gets a head on it, but it's a bit of a looping header, it's a bit of a weak one, but it wasn't a bad header because it could have wrong-footed the keeper, and it did really. It's just that it hit the top of the bar and bounced behind, so it was just, again, unlucky. About 5 minutes after that, Pablo comes on for Alioski, Dallas goes to left back. Pablo's game today, he did get on the ball, he did act as that quarterback role that we know he can do now. He's a little bit older, he drops a bit deeper, he comes and gets the ball and he tries to spray passes in. Because by the time he came on, the Everton were already so tight at the back trying to hold on to their lead, I don't think he had much of an effect, and I don't think he really created anything that we wouldn't have created without him on the pitch, which is not something you can say often about Pablo, because he does sometimes create things that you just wouldn't create without him on the pitch. He's just one of those players. Leeds obviously attacking massively at this point. By this point, Michael Keane's come on and made that a back three with Digne and Holgate as the fullbacks. and they were just so tight at the back and they defended so well. I really couldn't see a way of getting through them, because the chances that we were creating would only be half chances because of how tight they were defending. So if you did get a shot on target, it's more than likely that Robin Olsen was there to save it, because like I say, they were so tight that the chances weren't anything clear. Obviously, because we were attacking that much, they get a counter attack. Calvert-Lewin's through on goal. Meslier, to be honest, hadn't had a massive amount to do in the game other than claiming some crosses, and obviously the goals that he conceded, that neither of them were really his fault. But when it came down to it, Dominic Calvert-Lewin was one-on-one with him and he tried to slot it past him, and Meslier got down and saved it. It was a good save, but I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin made the wrong choice with this type of shot. He could have either tried to dink the keeper or go around him. He tried to slot it past him, but Meslier is not exactly a short keeper. I think he's 6'7". I don't think you're going to do that against a keeper who can just stick out a long leg and save it. Iwobi then came off for Josh King, who's just signed from Bournemouth. Josh King didn't do anything. He didn't really have time to be fair. I rate Josh King. I think he's a good striker. I think they were trying to play him in a sort of right midfield spot, but when you're trying to defend, but you bring on a striker and you're not really attacking, he's not going to have much of an impact on the game. So we can't really judge Josh King's return to the Premier League on 7 minutes. Helder Costa comes on for Harrison for Leeds. Helder Costa did beat a man down the line and whip a ball into the box, to be fair to him. I don't think he really lost the ball. He played some passes into other players' feet and he didn't really do anything wrong, which, although that doesn't sound like much, is a massive improvement compared to when he came on the other week and he was dreadful and he lost every ball that he actually received. So that's an improvement. That's something promising, I guess. Hopefully that gives him a little bit of confidence to regain his form, because at times he was good in the Championship. He was a good player and he scored goals for us, so he's proved that he is a good professional. It's just his confidence, because he's been dropped, and the way Rafinha's playing and the way Harrison's playing, you don't see him getting into the starting lineup, and people are talking about him leaving because he's not good enough. I think he's good to have as a backup. I just think, like I say, he needs to get his confidence back, play some more 23s games, get a few goals under his belt, and even though it's a bit different, getting goals there, and it's not the same thing, it would give him a bit of confidence. It's tried and tested that Bielsa uses the 23s to make his players gain a little bit of confidence back and a little bit of fitness, so hopefully that works for Costa. Tom Davies came on for Sigurdsson at the end, didn't really do anything other than keep the ball and hold it up a little bit. Right at the end, you had that chance for Roberts where Bamford had managed to get inside the box. I could see what Bamford was trying to do, because he wanted to guarantee that we would have got a shot off. So there was a couple of players in the box, but there was no guarantee that they would get on the end of it, especially considering how Mina, Keane and Godfrey had been defending through the rest of the game. They were just clearing everything up like that. So he tries to find Roberts on the edge of the box, who takes a touch and hits it on the volley. I don't think it would have taken something spectacular to score that goal, and I'm not saying Roberts isn't capable of it, but it's one of those things where it's 1 in 10, 1 in 20 that actually goes in, and it's a snapshot. He took a touch, bounced up, and he had to hit it on the volley as it was, and under that much pressure as well, when it's pretty much the last kick of the game. Well, actually, I think it was the last kick of the game. You can't expect him to score there. So we go down 2-1 in a game that we didn't play brilliantly in the first half, but improved in the second half. But after getting 6 points from Newcastle and Leicester, I can't really complain about that, considering where we're sitting in the table. So we go again on Saturday against Palace, and hopefully we don't have a repeat of the last game against Palace, because that last game against Palace came straight after the Leicester defeat. Now, this time round we've beat Leicester, and I think we can do the same again with Palace. I think they're a good side and they'll defend well, but I don't think they'll defend as well as Everton, so I think it probably will be a little bit easier for us to break them down and score. So that's going to be the end of the video for today. If you want to check me out on Twitter, that's Leeds_Lately. Now there is a website for Leeds Lately as well, where I'll be posting match reports. The match report for this game will be out in a couple of days' time. So subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you after the Crystal Palace game.